Hello, beautiful humans. I trust you are having a great day so far. I am here to try to shed a little bit of light on what is going on, what you may be feeling, what this might mean in terms of your experience with all that's happening right now, energetically, as well as in the world. We're going through a super high charged time. And so I've been getting the pull to come and just do what I can to maybe help make a little bit of sense of it and just share what I've been getting called to speak on, which is a lot about this month of October. So, most people are aware that we've moved through a really big eclipsed portal and we're actually still in it. And there's a lot of themes or concepts and ideas that are coming to the forefront that are all tied together. And I'm going to try and weave in between all of those and hopefully make a little bit more sense out of what you may be experiencing because it's a time of definitely a lot of chaos, right? Peak energies, high emotions, and feelings of kind of instability, even feeling like maybe you're in a bit of a void. And if you are feeling like that, feeling a little wobbly, I got some spider energy right above my head now. Um, just know that you're not alone because this is really about what time is about. So let's start with a couple of things. So first of all, today is the second 10-10 portal day. And what that means is it is a time when the energies are aligned and more expressed, more pointed with the energy of the numbers, the numerology around those days. So October is all about balance. Libra, okay, we're going to tie in some astrology. Libra is about balance. Libra is, for the most part, the month of October. And so the themes that we're seeing worldwide are all about being out of balance, but not to remain out of balance with the underlying goal of bringing us back into balance, right? So the month of October is a 10 month. So it's made up of the 1 and the 0. That's why it's called, or we refer to it as the Alpha and Omega. Now, what does this mean in terms of our own personal experiences? Well, it's a lot about going from one extreme to the other. It's about harmonizing, ultimately, bringing these two extremes, not merging them together, but despite the two themes being extreme and complete opposites, the ones and the zeros, right? Think about computers. That's like the binary base language of computers, but it's also the base language of the universe, of all things in creation. It's the light and the dark. It's the one and the all. And so we're dealing with these energies, and they're not just numbers. I mean, these are the energies that you end up, if you pay attention, you notice that, oh yeah, this is actually coming through in my experience. So what's happening at this time, being October, being the year 2023, is we're in the middle of a really extreme passage that is bringing us closer and closer to finally closing the door on the old world that we've known and opening to this brand new world. What is this brand new world? This is the brand new world that we are here to now recreate. And how are we recreating it? We're recreating it through our minds, through where we're putting our focus, where we're putting our attention. And that's why it's so interesting that the world stage is full of really extreme, not preferred, not desirable by most of us, situations that are pulling our attention and our focus into those directions. So, one of the things that's very important to be aware of at this time is that, not to get into the details of it, but right now, our ability to imprint the universal field, the field of creation, our ability to imprint that is heightened right now. So it's interesting that there are so many distractions available to us on the world stage that are vying for our attention. And rightfully so, because they're very horrific, they're very extreme, they're touching the hearts of so many people. pulling at the minds of so many of us. And that's actually where it's probably most important, because what we're doing collectively is we are then focusing our attention on something perhaps that we don't want, but we are focusing it there so intensely, so for such prolonged periods of time, that we are collectively creating more and more experiences that are going to resonate very similarly to what those experiences are making us feel now. So, why is all of this happening on the world stage? It's happening to illuminate the extremes. Because how do you collapse into harmony? How do you collapse into oneness? Is you must be able to see the two extremes. If there's not two extremes, then how do you know that there's a middle point, a center point? We don't. We need these two extremes in order to be illuminated, to feel them, and then come to a resolve. So, how does this play out in your everyday life? So, clearly, many of us have varying opinions, varying perspectives on who's right, who's wrong, what we should be saying, what we shouldn't be saying online, what matters more, what matters less. I could go on and on. And so, who are sharing these opinions? I'm sharing opinions. You're probably sharing opinions. Your brother or your sister is probably sharing opinions. Your neighbor's sharing opinions. Everybody is sharing their viewpoint of said storylines, of experiences that maybe they're having personally, maybe they're just witnessing, but everybody is sharing an opinion. And much like when COVID happened, there was a lot of varying opinions, right? This is like a repeat of what happened in 2020, 2021, and 2022, that 3-year period, because what its goal is, as far as a creative principle, a creative orchestration that is happening and unfolding before our eyes right now, and we are all the players of, the goal is to get everyone's attention, wake us all up, have us thinking, asking questions, choosing what feels like true to us, and what I feel is true may be different from what you feel. So having all these people, the whole collective, asking similar questions of themselves, of the world, of others around, so we can all find what feels kind of like, okay, this feels comfortable to me. And then, and this is the last part, right? The alpha, the omega, and then collapsing into one, meaning once we all see where everybody stands, the first thing that typically happens is we see the opposition and we try to explain why they should be seeing it differently. We will have judgments against those who see things one way if we're seeing it the other, and we'll have judgments thrown at us, right? That's what's happening all over social media. Somebody posts something, shares an opinion, and then you have all kinds of stuff happening in the thread. Oh, no, that's not right. That's not wrong. How do you say that? How could you share that? What kind of person are you? Right? Judgments, criticism. But at the end of the day, and maybe you're starting to feel this now, and if you're not, I think we're all going to be starting to feel this soon, is to be willing to hold your own truth, and then at the same time, witness your brother or sister holding their own truth. But our goal is that as we're holding that truth, we can do it with more neutrality. What does that look like? It looks like, I'll tell you, give you an example. You're walking down the street, you know that you feel one way about what's happening. Maybe you have personal ties to one country or the other. And so you really believe what you believe, and this is what you know is your truth. Your neighbor across the street has a completely different viewpoint. Now, the mental mind, the ego, is going to feel a bit of resistance, perhaps when you come together, or maybe it's a lot of resistance. And the moment that conversation comes up, you guys start to get into an argument, or maybe it's a heated discussion. For some people, maybe it's a fight. Maybe you decide you're not going to talk to each other anymore. This is the beginning point. This is what this is about. bringing this up so we can kind of realize that there are sides. And then it's not supposed to end there. Then you realize, damn, I like my neighbor. My neighbor is not a bad guy, but ever since this stuff came up, I can't have the same conversations anymore. I feel like I don't want to like hang out anymore. And that may be true. But for many of us, what we're going to find is that even though we have differing opinions, and granted, a lot of these things are highly charged, I get it. But the goal and the objective is to find a way that we still connect at the heart despite the opinions that we have. So what does that look like? I was going to share a story, but I won't. Going back to the example of you're walking down the street with your neighbor, right? When the mind tries to distract you and tries to paint the picture that this person is this, they take this side, so there's no point even having a conversation. How about instead, put the opinion aside, put their perspective aside, and just see them for the human being that they are, that you knew before, and just see them as such. Let the perspectives, this is what we're being invited into, is to let the perspectives be separate from the being and see the being as just a being. Who is being, right? Ultimately, if we didn't have the distractions, think about this, if we didn't have the distractions of these really heightened storylines that have a lot of history as well, right? So even more distracting, even more justified to have opinions and perspectives. But if we didn't have those, how would you be relating? And so that's what these energies are ultimately pulling us towards. This month with the eclipses, with these alpha omega portals that we are knowingly or unknowingly moving right through, they're pulling us to these points of clarity and pulling us into points of harmony. It's like that median line in between the extremes. There is this point of unification. It doesn't ask for everything to be collapsed into one, because that's not what this earth template is about. And it's not what the universe is about. Universe is. It's not what creation is about. It's about having the differences, but being able to come together and exist and coexist and co-create creatively in amongst that. Look at there's that, the sine wave frequency, right? It runs through everything. There is a peak, there are lows, there are highs and lows, and that's what makes that. But through the middle, there is that constant. It's the center point. And that's ultimately what this whole period is bringing us into. It is the bridge to getting us into this harmonic point at the center, which is oneness, which is unity, being able to coexist despite all the extremes and differences. So we are in this period of there being closure, right? A lot of deaths, a lot of births, a lot of endings and beginnings, physically, figuratively, emotionally, mentally. With this first chapter, that's this first wave of beginnings and endings, it's really with this solar eclipse that's taken place. The sun is about the mind, right? And so it's about bringing into our conscious awareness the conscious things that we know about ourselves, the patterns of thought, the ways of being that we don't want to take with us into this next chapter of our lives, collectively and individually. As we go into the latter half of the month, and we then have the lunar eclipse that takes place, we are going to be now uncovering more of the subconscious stuff. So be aware, just pay attention, take some time for yourself to figure out, okay, what of this am I noticing within myself is feeling more and more uncomfortable? What parts of me, how am I responding to this? What makes me feel unsettled? And maybe it's less about what's happening in front of you and more about how you're noticing that you are navigating through it. I know for me, that was an uncomfortable point. I was like, oh, wow, okay, I'm noticing. And it actually wasn't, it didn't have anything to do with what's happening on the world stage. I'm not very tapped into any of that. My attention is elsewhere. It's more, it was to do with me, it had to do with creative projects. So there was just resistance and sticking points there. And so I noticed, I don't like this. And in fact, I've seen a pattern with myself where I have responded the same way when this sort of situation came up. And so these are points in time right now and for the rest of this month where we're going to be able to notice these patterns within us, patterns of being, and then be able to draw the line in the sand, choose to no longer carry it with us, and then actually let it go with much more ease than we have before. Because what we're moving into is 2024. We are in a phase of ongoing closures and ongoing letting go and tying up of loose ends of the old world. It's not just for us personally, old ways of being, right? But that is part of it. And collectively, as we're all doing this, we are weaving a new fabric of reality that we will begin playing in as 2024 begins to unfold. But right now, in October and November and December, as we get closer to the turnover of the year, we're going to be getting a taste of what 2024 is going to feel like. Already, these energies that are coming in are giving us a bit of a preview. In amongst all the chaos, you've probably felt that there is still this freshness. There is excitement. You walk outside, you feel the sun or you feel the wind on your skin, and you're looking around. And it's like, wow, I'm excited. There's an air of excitement. Like, do you feel that? So that air of excitement is your biology and your higher template responding to the organic template of Earth, as well as the organic template of your biology that's coming online and already knows where we're headed, where you're headed from a physicality standpoint, and it's excited. We consciously perhaps don't have that awareness, but the body and your higher aspects, your soul, your spirit, whatever words you want to use to describe it, is fully aware of what's going on. And so there is an excitement building because of the momentum we are creating as we go through this time. So enjoy those moments and feel into that more. Don't dismiss it. Allow yourself to feel that, because that is the new world birthing through you at a cellular level, at a DNA level. You are birthing this new world just by existing, by coming to the awarenesses of what you prefer and what you don't, by being sensitive, simply by paying attention when you feel these feelings come up in your body. One of the fun ways to feel it is, sometimes it actually feels orgasmic. You're like, what is going on? I'm not doing anything. I'm just sort of standing here. Yeah, that is the new organic template of your body, of your biology coming online. And just like it's happening to your physicality, that is what we're feeling as we step outside and experience Gaia. The same thing is happening to the planet. And we are part of Gaia. We are not structures that are stuck on top and just like, exist like a car. No, we are actually part of that being. that celestial being that is our planet. We are just like the trees that grow up from the earth. We are doing the same thing. So we are connected to that body. And so as that body awakens, these bodies are awakening. We're doing it in unison. Have you noticed that nature is responding differently? Have you noticed that things are just a little bit more beautiful? The birds are singing just a little sweeter, that they're staying a little closer to you, that maybe creatures you haven't seen are coming up to be noticed and sometimes even to play with. These are all signs that this template is coming alive, that we are stepping into new Eden. And there's a lot of goodness that's on the horizon. And there is so much goodness that is literally seeping up through the fabric of this template. Remember, we are leaving behind an inorganic template and an inorganic, a false, a lower template for our human experience. And as we leave that behind, what naturally is just coming to the surface is something that feels much more true, much more comfortable, much more gentle, much more playful, more light, and a lot less dense. And so what we're experiencing here in the world is a stirring up of stuff. It's kind of like when you're making chicken broth. You put all the big chunks of stuff that you don't want in your broth. It's not what makes a beautiful broth. You put the bones and you put maybe some carrots in there and some onions or whatever you put in. None of that is intended to stay in the broth when it's complete, when it's this perfect, delicious, nourishing substance. But you put it in, and you may start by stirring it up, right? And then you turn the heat up so it simmers and it's boiling. So the environment that all of those things are sitting in the water as it boils, is the water is stirring everything up. Why? To suck out the essence, the best parts for flavor, and some might say for nourishment, the best parts that's in that bone, the best parts that's in that carrot, the best parts that's in the onion or the herbs. So it's sucking it all out into the water, which again could have a whole conversation about water and the relevance of that at this time. But in that pot, the water boils, shakes things up, just like these global situations are shaking things up, rattling our consciousness in order to extract the things that are not of that purest essence, allow them to dissipate. And then eventually, as the dust settles or as the pot comes back down to no more simmer and the water begins to cool, what do? You skim it all off. You skim it all off. Whatever is not part of that purest essence, it's not going to be that pure broth. That's not us in our purest expression, gets skimmed off. And that's what we're doing now, so that we can become the most incredible, delicious, pure, nourishing broth that then will feed the rest of what we create in the days ahead. So there is a real divine purpose to the madness, to bring up and stir up as much as possible, because we cannot go into this next phase with any of this. We cannot go into creating new earth, new Eden, this beautiful, organic, self-sustaining, abundant, delicious, sweet experience of life. We cannot create that with all of this, right? Of course not. So as you go through your day today, I hope that this has brought a little bit of clarity. to maybe look at your neighbor differently, to look at yourself differently, and to really take stock of who you are being, of who you are becoming, and who you want to be, who you want to become. Because this is a point in time where we have choices to make. And you can become the best version of yourself, but it's going to involve letting go of the parts that are not your truest expression. And those parts are simply the parts that don't feel good, the parts that are in fear, the parts that are in lack. We are purging that right now. There's no room for it. How do you know when something is ready to go? You feel it. You feel uncomfortable. It's coming to the surface. You may even wake up in the middle of the night with like strange thoughts of like fear or lack. I know I've experienced that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that doesn't feel good. That's not really who I am in my core. I'm not made from that frequency. So let's just purge that. So take stock of who you've been, take stock of what's coming up for you. And it doesn't take a lot to release it. Just make a choice. Say, I choose, declare, I am not interested in being that version of myself anymore. I'm interested in becoming more. I'm interested in opening up to what feels lighter for me, what feels more like home for me. And simply in making that declaration, you are opening yourself up to higher potentials. You can leave the rest of the details. Just making that choice actually changes your biology and your frequency immensely. The rest can fall into place as the days go on. So I hope this has been supportive in some way. I hope this has brought a little bit of clarity. It's taken me quite a long time to actually come on and share about this or just provide any information around this time. It's been also highly creative time. So I've had my head buried in some really great projects I'm enjoying. And, you know, there's been this that's been also calling me forward to speak to. So I'd love to know how you found this, if there's been some ahas that maybe came up for you, if there's questions, or if there's something that didn't make sense, or if you have other questions, let me know. I'd love to know how you found this. And as we close this out, let's just take a moment because we are in the middle of a beautiful portal passage right now. As I mentioned, this 1010 Stargate. So let's just take a moment. Put your heart on your hand on your heart. And breathe. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, allow yourself to come into center right now. Close your eyes and see in your mind's eye a 1 by your left eye and a 0 on your right. See them clearly in your mind's eye. And now see yourself standing between them, holding yourself steady and bringing a beam of light down from the heavens, wider than your shoulders, all the way down, piercing the crust of the earth, going all the way down into the crystalline core of Gaia. And with you standing in the middle on either side of the 1 and the 0, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and ending point. Hold yourself steady. See yourself as a channel of this light. Tethered between the heavens and the earth. In the crystalline core, in the heart of Gaia, feel a wave of the energy coming up through the earth, into your feet, up to your core, your root, making its way up through your torso, swirling around, making its way up to your heart. And then a burst of that light shoots up through your crown. See a ball of light at your third eye. See another ball of light at your heart. See another ball of light in your belly, below your navel. Hold your vision on those 3 balls of light. Invite all of the divine energies that are available on this very potent portal day to feed into those balls of light now, amplifying, activating, nourishing, and purifying all that is you, supporting your physical vessel to expand into your organic divine template so you can be and feel what it's like to be yourself as you were designed to be. Focus at the top of your head now. See that ball of light at your crown, and it's shooting out what looks like fireworks. Beautiful crystalline confetti shooting out of the top of your head, raining down over you, feeding into that column of light you still stand within, bringing it all together now. Enjoy that feeling, receiving that coding. And breathing deeply. Take a breath in and then hold that breath. Hold that breath in and see an image in your mind's eye of what you do want to create in your life. Hold it steady, see it clearly. Exhale if you need to, and then take another breath in and hold it. See that vision clearly. Feel joy and love in your heart. Feel the anticipation of that creation coming to life. Feel it, see it clearly, know that it's yours. Know that it supports you and supports all others. And if it doesn't, allow another image to come into your mind. Beautiful. Take one last breath in and hold it. Feel that love, that joy, the anticipation. Expand it. And let it go. When you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for joining in this. And I wish you an incredible Alpha Omega portal day and the rest of this month. Please let me know if there is anything that was not clear, how you received this, if you have any questions. Until next time, sending you so much love.